A day to remember for the rest of your lives.
There's a great promise for all of you.
The Pro Football Hall of Fame and Extreme Networks present the Heart of a Hall of Famer program. With nearly 100 Hall of Famers participating, we have reached 48 states around this country, sharing the message that football is more than a game and can teach Americans how to huddle up during a time when we need to be united.
It's time for America to take a real deep dive. Not at no one else, but at yourself individually. If you want to change America, don't brush your teeth with your head down. Look at who you are and be the example. Be the example.
An opportunity to meet and learn from one of the greatest football players of all time. But more than that, the chance to see that their Hall of Fame life wasn't given to them. Single-parent homes, drug-infested neighborhoods, and poverty.
I grew up in a neighborhood that was considered one of the worst in America, and the household I grew up in was one of the worst in that neighborhood. By the time I was 20 years old, I knew at least 30 friends or family members who had lost their lives. Football became like a second parent to me. It taught me the things that my father wasn't there to teach me, and that my mother, as a struggling, single-parent woman, just didn't know to teach me.
But they learn how to live a life of character before pursuing their football careers. Today, you will learn you can do the same that they once did. Making good decisions can lead to a prosperous life both on and off the field. Your game for life has already begun. It's your decision whether or not you want to be a successful student, son, daughter, brother, or sister.
Every one of you can have a Hall of Fame life, whether or not you play football. You can be as great as you want to be. The Hall of Fame is all about integrity, character, and excellence. You have the opportunity to represent yourself that way. You determine your character.
Welcome to a once-in-a-lifetime program, the Heart of a Hall of Famer.
The 49ers drafted Haley in the 4th round of the 1986 draft, and he would go on to lead San Francisco in sacks in each of his first 6 seasons.
He's looking, he's going to run, he's sacked, Haley had him.
And capture a pair of Super Bowl titles. In 1992, Haley was traded to Dallas and moved to defensive end.
That speed rush of Haley, he just went right around the house.
But the results were the same. Haley would win 3 more Super Bowl titles with the Cowboys.
And Dallas, your Cowboys are world champions again.
Becoming the only player to win 5 championships in the modern era. A 2-time NFC Defensive Player of the Year, Haley was named to 5 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro teams, racking up nearly 500 career tackles and over 100 career sacks.
Brown back to pass, sack, fumble, Charles Haley.
I've played with some of the greatest players ever in the history of football, and I've learned a lot. And the one thing that I learned from all these guys is unselfish play. Team matters. We need to go back to that. It's not about individuals, it's about team. That's the only way we can have success.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the great Hall of Famer, Charles Haley.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay. I just want to make sure y'all alive.
All right, that's a great way to start. With that, I'd like to welcome everybody to another installment of our Pro Football Hall of Fame Heart of a Hall of Famer series powered by Extreme Networks. Our mission here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. And today we have the opportunity to speak on those values. Our values here at the Hall of Fame are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. These values make our Hall of Famers, our gold jackets, not only Hall of Famers on the field, but great men off the field as well. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Joined on stage with Gold Jacket Mr. Charles Haley. And before we turn things over to Mr. Haley, we do have a few thank yous we want to send out. First off, I'd like to thank our folks at Extreme Networks who've provided this opportunity for us here today. Do a bunch of great things for us here at the Hall of Fame and a bunch of great things for schools across the country. I'd like to thank our teachers and administrators who joined our students coming here today and allowing your students to be a part of this great event. And then lastly, I'd like to thank our students. You know, without you guys here today, this program doesn't happen. You guys are going to be driving the program today, asking different questions to Mr. Haley, so we're excited to kind of see where the directions of the program goes. And I hope you guys are as well. Our schools we have here today, and I'm going to say them all in a row, so just raise your hand, give a little shout out when I call your names. We got Malvern High School here today. Where's Malvern? All right. Not a very big shout out, but all right. We got McDonald High School here today. That's a little better. Hoover High School. All right. Fairless High School. Tuslaw High School. All right. We got Sandusky High School. All right. All right. We got some students here from ComQuest. You got those guys here? All right, down over there in the middle. We got MLK Junior High School and Wade Park School. They're not here yet. Campbell Memorial High School. All right. We've got the McKinley High School Freshman Academy. All right. Dalton High School. All right, we got some folks here from our local Stark County YMCA as well as part of the event. So throughout the program today, we're going to be taking questions from you students. There have been some students who have been selected prior to the program, have a card with them. They're going to be coming up to the microphone, asking questions. If you didn't get a card this morning and you do want to ask a question, we're going to ask you to just head to the back of the room. We have some Hall of Fame staff there in the back, and they'll be able to talk to you about your question and hopefully get you in line to ask it here to Mr. Haley. We're also going to be taking the questions here from our Facebook Live broadcast that we have going out, so we're going to try and insert some of the social media questions as well. So with all that being said, I want you to give one more intro applause to one of the 326 greatest players ever, Mr. Charles Haley. Charles, do you have any opening remarks you kind of want to start the program off with today?
Good morning, guys. The first thing I want to say to you is don't look at me as a 5-time Super Bowl champ. Don't look at me as a Hall of Famer. Just look at me as a regular person who came from Gladys, Virginia, worked on the farm most of his life, went to school, went to college with a 10th grade education. And the greatest thing I ever did, guys, was I graduated from college with C's. I didn't get to spend my summers at home with my mom because I struggled reading, so I had to stay there over the summer just to catch up. And those Super Bowl rings, you know, and all that stuff, it means nothing to me when compared to my college degree. I hold that up because it's very significant to me because it tells me that I can overcome anything. When I got that degree, I knew I could do anything that I wanted to do when I set my mind to it. When I set my mind to a goal, I can achieve it. And I started from my knees, and I asked God for help. And then I walked out on faith. So faith is action, and I took the action I needed. And so when you look at me, guys, there was a thin line between me failing and me having success. A very thin line. And let me tell you, I chose success. So the crossroads you're going to come into, guys, is what are you going to do? Huh? What kind of decision are you going to make when you get to that crossroads in life? What kind of decision are you going to make when you're up against the wall? Are you going to run or you're going to hit your knees and walk on faith. I dare you. I dare you. Hit your knees and move forward. Because you know what? You can do anything once you walk forward. And never be afraid to ask for help. Never be afraid to ask for help.
All right, so we're going to open the things. Our 5 values I mentioned at the beginning are commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. Is there one of those that kind of stand out to you that takes precedent over the others, or are all 5 kind of work together to help you reach your goals?
Well, for me, it boils down to team. The Hall of Fame it has under the umbrella 100-some team, but yet it reaches out into the NFL now because we are part of the NFL, and we are able to go out to the players of today to try to help those guys because they'll be the Hall of Famers of tomorrow. So one of the biggest things that we get to do as Hall of Famers, we get to go out, hug these guys' neck, and show them the path to being great and how to be successful and how to have character, and that's one of the things that we have to get back to in life is we have to instill in people how to do things right, because, I need to do that too. Hey, let's silence our phone, guys. Hey. So we have to get back to, we have to get back to the little things in life, that gives us meaning, and I think courage is one of the things we need to look at.
All right, we're going to turn things over to our students now. So our first student with a question, go ahead and step up to the mic, state your name, what school you're from, and ask your questions for Mr. Haley.
Hi, I'm Colin. I'm from McDonald. What made you want to work hard even when it got tough, and where did you learn to be like that?
My dad, I know y'all ain't gonna understand, but we used to in the country, we cut puffwood, and where you cut down pine trees, you cut them in like 8 feet, and then you put them on a truck, but you had to hand carry it out of it. And I used to watch my dad do that, and watching that strength of him doing it. And then I watched my mom work in the factory all day, then come home, go in the field, and pick stuff for us to eat during the winter. And they instilled in me what hard work was and what providing is. And I'll never forget it. That's a lesson learned. Once you see the struggles your family go through, you have no choice. And then when I got into the NFL, Ronnie Lott, I followed him around like a puppy. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if he went to the bathroom, I was standing by the door scratching. I was like, I wanted to understand. I wanted to understand his greatness. I couldn't understand how he could turn that light bulb on and off. I could not understand it. I wanted to understand that. I was perplexed. And so one day we went out on a charity thing, and this 8-year-old kid impacted my life. We were giving shoes away. The kid walked out to Ronnie Lott and said, "What makes you great?" And Ronnie said, "I play without fear." I raised my hand up and I said, "You know what? That was the last time I walked up behind him, because you know what? I played the game without fear after that day." So I hope that that helped answer your question.
It did. Thank you.
All right, we'll take our next student question. Go ahead and step up to the mic and ask your question.
Hi, my name's Connor. I'm from McDonald. And my question is, who influenced you the most in your life, and how did they do it?
My mama did. She's she's my anchor. She knows where all the skeletons is. She's my rock. She's my rock. You know, she got 80-some% of her body burned. She's been through it, and you know, but she's my rock. She's always been there. You know, I'm the cooker. I'm the emotional side of my family. You know, I cook, I clean, I still do it all. My ex-wife, she's the authoritarian part, and I'm the more of the other part of the relationship because of my mom, and I feel good at that. I found my role, and I like to stay on that side of it.
Thank you.
All right, next student, go ahead and step up to the mic and ask your question.
Man, cut your hair, man. What's going on with that hair? You funny looking. Come on now.
Growing it out.
I can't hear you.
I'm growing it out.
Oh, you growing it out?
Yeah.
Okay, then.
He's got an Eagles hoodie on, too. He's got an Eagles hoodie on, too.
Okay, Eagles, okay.
Yeah. I'm James from McDonald, and I was just wondering, how did you stay motivated to improve?
What school?
McDonald High School.
Like the McDonald's?
Yeah. Kinda.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was wondering, how did you stay motivated to improve, even with all the success you had?
You know what? I don't know how I can answer that question. I was just hungry. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best player every time I walked out on the field. And I had Ronnie Lott, Joe Montana, Roger Craig, Steve Young. I had all these great players that I could watch that emulated what greatness was. And so they set the standard. They set the gold standard, but they didn't set the standard for me. Nobody can set your standards or set your goals but you. And my goal and my standards were way higher than anybody else can set. Because the moment somebody else sets your goals, that's when they limit you. So never let anybody set your goals. Set your own goals and set them high.
So you talk about having success, and you had a success not only with the 49ers, but then with the Cowboys too after the trade. Before we move on, how many Cleveland Browns fans, speaking of trades, do we have out here? Everybody a little happier when they woke up this morning? Now that Odell Beckham is on the Browns? So you talk about having success with the 49ers, but then to continue that success with the Cowboys. Was there that same motivation behind you continuing success, or was it just, hey, you know what? New team, new helmet, new jersey. I'm just going to be the same player I was.
No, I was like, my confidence was shaken when I left the 49ers. I left the greatest team in the 80s, and I was going to the Dallas Cowboys, who wasn't good at the time. And so when I got off the plane, it was a game changer. Jerry, when I got off the plane, it was a bunch of cameras there. I couldn't see. A hand came out. I'm Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, he shook my hand and took my bag. So I thought someone was lying. And then we went down to the baggage claim. He took my luggage. And I said, oh, this can't be. And they said, yeah, this is Jerry Jones. And when we got in the car, he told me, I got your back. You know what? I haven't had too many people in my life tell me they got my back. And when he said that, it was game changer. So I felt like I owed him something. I owed the team something. And then once you get on the field, you start bonding with your teammates, because I didn't win one game We won the games. Okay? I might got one sack, but we the one that won. So that that's the end of that.
There was a lot of those wins.
Yeah,
a lot of those wins.
We win.
All right, next student, whoever has a question, go ahead, step up to the mic.
Come on, pretty girl.
Hi, I'm Lauren, and I'm also from McDonald.
You from? Where's everybody from McDonald's? What's going on? I'm hungry now.
What is one moment when your character has been tested, and how did you resolve it?
Well, I think my daughter had leukemia, and she needed a bone marrow transplant, and and we had to go for unrelated bone marrow donor, and we couldn't find one. And I think I started drinking heavily and stuff, and I think that was probably the worst time of my life, and I fell, like I said, I fell down on my knees, and I asked God for help, because you know what, I was playing God. I thought I could fix it. Like I felt like I could do everything else, and when I asked God for help, my wife got pregnant, and my daughter matches her 100%. So I had to go through the fire to get to the blessing, and it tested everything that I believed in. To overcome, I had to overcome her being sick. I had to overcome the feeling that I was hopeless, the hopelessness. Then I had to overcome the joy of when I found out that my daughter had it. It was 3 stages, and I'm just so happy now that she's been in remission for 22 years. So I'm so happy.
Thank you.
You mentioned we'd be taking some social media. We got a question here from Twitter, and you've already mentioned several of your teammates already. How important is the relationships you have with those guys even today?
Well, today I'm bipolar. I have a mental illness, and so when I played, I didn't have friends. I had friends, but you better be one of those guys that was going in the same direction I was. Otherwise, I was really mean to you. And so what I tell you today is that those relationships that I destroyed, I get a chance now because I'm taking my medicine. I'm able to go back to those people and tell them my regrets. Not that I'm sorry, but my regrets, because now I'm explaining to them the things that I did wrong. And I asked them for their forgiveness. And I asked them to watch my walk. And that's how I'm re-energizing and building those friendships again. And that is the most important part. I refuse to pass and play this game with so many great players and walk around and not have a relationship with these guys because of my actions. So today, guys, I'm happy with coaches and a lot of the players to have wonderful relationships with them because I accept the responsibility for my actions. And I live in joy and peace now because I'm able to man up.
All right, we're going to take a next student question. Go ahead and step up to the microphone. State your name, where you're from, and ask your question.
My name is Ronnie. I'm from Canton.
Hey man, you on the mic and I can't hear you. What's going on?
My name is Ronnie. I'm from Canton, McKinley. My question is what was your favorite part of being a defensive end in NFL?
I came in the league playing linebacker. And then George Seifert came up with the elephant position. So I would play outside linebacker, and in third down comes, I would play defensive end. So my second year, so I started playing more elephant. And then my third year, I played defensive end. For me, there's no difference because I was a great knee bender. And my first step was the key to everything. And I could jump 3 yards. And it was. I loved the chess match up front, and I loved, we get to hit each other in the mouth. So I like the toughness of the game, the physicality. I like that kind of stuff. So I don't know if people, I don't like getting hit, but I like hitting.
You talk about it being a chess match. Was there an offensive lineman you ever played against that always had your number, or you struggled against enjoying that chess match between the two guys?
Well, I played against Jackie Slater my first year, and I went up against him. So I went by him, a speed rush, I got a sack. So I'm going, I got him. So I did a move, I beat him underneath. I hit Jim Everett. I said, next thing I'm gonna run over him. So I get ready, I go like this. I see his head go back. He went boom. My knees hit the ground. I looked up, I saw Jesus Christ in all three forms. I said, oh Lord. I grabbed my helmet, I walked out the field. I threw my helmet away. I went down way down on the end of the bench. I'm down there with my hands in my face, and I'm thinking about, do I want to play this game? I ain't never been hit that hard before. I said, Lord, is there many more of them out there? I'm like, okay. I was scared. I was like, okay. And then the D-line coach came down. He said, if you don't get back on that field, we'll send you home. And I said, well, I can't find my helmet. And so they found my helmet, and I went back out. And I learned that you never try to run over grown men. And so that was my lesson.
All right, Jackie Slater, for those of you who don't know, Jackie Slater is a Hall of Famer as well, so it's not like he was going up against any Joe Blow. Jackie Slater was one of the best to do it as well. All right, we'll take our next question from our students. Go ahead and step up to the microphone and ask your question.
Hi, my name is Caleb, and my question from Canton McKinley, and my question is, what kind of sacrifice did you have to make to reach your career goals, and was it worth it?
I played with torn rotator cuff, knee, I get knee surgery on Monday, play on Sunday, back surgeries. I played the last Super Bowl. I had back surgery I came back in 2 weeks from major back surgery and played in the Super Bowl. It may have cut my career short, but I told my teammates I would never forsake them. I'm a man of my word. And asked me a question, would I do it again? Yeah, yes I would. And because that's what it's all about. It's about team. And because they would do it for me.
Thank you.
Sit.
All right, we'll take our next student question. Go ahead and step up to the microphone. State your name, where you're from, and ask your question for Mr. Haley.
Hi, I'm David Smith. I'm from Canton McKinley Freshman Academy. And my question for you is, when you entered the league, was there a veteran player who took you under their wing?
Oh, we already answered that over Ronnie a lot. He did that. And then Michael Carter was the enforcer. They put my locker beside Michael Carter. He won the silver in the shot put. And so, like I said, I was bipolar. So I was manicky. Either I was manicky jumping around or I was subdued. And so Michael Carter, I was right there and I'll be bouncing around and I'll be talking trash. And I sat down and Michael did like this, hit me in my chest. The locker was about that deep. He hit me in my chest. I flew all the way back to the back of that locker. And I jumped out. I looked at that dog and I looked at him. I said, I don't want no part of it. I looked at it. I set my butt back down, I didn't want no part of that dog. So Michael Carter was a really, really tough guy. So if I had to say I got my toughness it's from watching him. And I respect the heck of him.
Got another question here from Facebook, probably one you've heard recently for a bunch of times. Tom Brady just won his 6th Super Bowl ring, surpassing you for the most Super Bowl rings won in a career. Is that something that you think drove him to be a better quarterback, or is it just a record that he got? And what do you think of someone who has 6 Super Bowl rings?
Well, I don't know. I can't get in Tom Brady's head about what drove him. But once you get number 5, you want number 6, you want number 7 if you have the opportunity. I think records are made to be broken. And I thought he was going to make it last year. And, I have never met Tom, but I look forward to the day of shaking his hand and hugging his neck because, hey, this guy went there 8, 9, 10 times, to the Super Bowl. Hey, good Lord. So he's a great quarterback. He's deserving. So I'm not going to hold anything against this man. I think he's one of the great quarterbacks. Now, he's not in the same era as the quarterbacks that I played against because we could take 2 steps, maybe 2.5 steps, and plant the quarterback. Where today, you can't even touch him. You can't even get 1 step and hit him without getting a fine or getting a penalty thrown. So those guys that I played against back in the day played in a different era, in a different time, and they can't be compared to quarterbacks of today.
We're going to take it back in your career a little bit and go back to when you were coming out of James Madison. Not a big school, not a big Division I school.
We're a powerhouse.
But a powerhouse of the former 1AA. Was there a chip on your shoulder coming out of a school like that motivated you in the league when you went against these guys who went to these big Division I schools?
No, I came out at 200 pounds. And I walked into college at 160 pounds. And I started. And I walked out at 200 pounds, and I went to the 49ers, and I lit it. I ran a 4.4, 4.47, 4.48, and I had all the physical skills, but they didn't know what to do because I was so light, and they kept trying to put weight on me, and I buffed up to 225. So I played outside linebacker for a while, but you know what? I didn't care. I wanted to be the best. Hey, size. They drafted a guy from Alabama. All he saw was my butt. He sat on the bench. So that tells you that he was that first pick. So it doesn't matter. My thing is, I got an opportunity. It's about opportunity. I got one opportunity, and I made it count. And so in life, it's all about opportunity. And once you get it, you better be prepared. Because success don't come easy. That's right. Because my dad told me when I was a kid, he said, boy, greatness is not born, it's made. And he said, what you gonna do today to be great? I said, Dad, I'm 5. Leave me alone.
All right, we'll go back to our students for our next question. Go ahead and step up to the mic. State your name, where you're from, and ask your question for Mr. Haley.
My name is Colin from Kent McKinley High School. My question for you today, was it ever hard for you to respect any of your coaches?
Was it ever hard for me to what?
Respect any of your coaches.
Respect any of your coaches. Was it tough to respect any of them?
You know what? I've had my run-ins with coaches. I think 90% of it is heat of the battle, where we're hearing two different things a lot of time. But in college, high school, there's no problem because their level of communication is totally different. But when you get into the pros, it's like, and you got to be back on the field, so it's a lot of screaming, and and players, you get hard-headed. You got players who likes individual coaching versus yelling in front of people. So you have different styles. So coaches have to game day. You can't be like that, and so sometimes it comes off as players are screaming at coaches, but it's just the part of the atmosphere of war. It's hard to go out there and battle and come back and be nice. So sometimes you still bring that with you off the field. But I respect every coach I ever played for, because you know what? In that soup, I always call my life is a big bowl of soup. Everybody I ever come in contact with put something in that soup, whether it's good or bad. They put something in there, and I believe that every coach and every person I met has given me something to empower me with. So to answer your question, yes.
Thank you.
Now, you got to see the flip side of that. You helped out the Lions coaching staff for about a year. Did you take any lessons you learned from your coaches and then applied it to the way you coached players?
Well, what I've learned is that you can't make losers winners. Okay? When you get to a point where all you've been doing is losing, you look for it. It's like a cloud is over your head. We'll be there and we'll be winning by 2 touchdowns at halftime. You go in the locker room, you think it's a morgue. And then come out, they score a touchdown, hey, heads drop, they know they're gonna lose. And there's nothing you can say or do. And so that was one of the hardest things to try to do. And but it doesn't stop you from trying to instill in these guys, self-respect. About being a champion, and winning, having a winning attitude. You got the thing that even today, these selfish ass. Okay, these players today, they are selfish because they think about I, when it should be we. And as long as the teams that win are we teams, and it don't matter what team you go with, as long as they I teams, when players only talk about I, those are the teams that's gonna lose. So I like the we teams.
All right, we'll take our next question from a student. Go ahead and step up to the mic. Ask your question for Mr. Haley.
I believe I can fly. What is it, guys? I believe I can touch the sky. What's next? Y'all don't know the song?
These are some youngins.
Oh my God. I'm done with y'all. Okay, what's the question?
Go ahead with your question.
My name is Alec and I'm from Tulsa.
I can't hear you.
My name's Alec and I'm from Tulsa. My question is, do you feel as if you could have done anything better or different in your career?
That's a tough one.
Yeah. All the things I could have done different in my career, I can't talk about it around y'all guys. Next question.
All right, go ahead. Next, we'll have the next student question here.
Speak up. Put some bass in your voice.
I'm Reese Lanier, and I'm from Fairless. In high school, you were a multi-sport athlete. How did that help you in your athletic career?
Whoa, hey, it did great for me. I learned I was mobile, agile, and violent. So that was my skill set. Basketball taught me how to be agile, and I ran track. It taught me to be agile, and then football taught me how to be violent. So playing all the different sports, it gives you a different perspective on things, and it trains your body to do different things, because the kids of today, they only been taught that lift weights. I never lift weights. Never. Hey, and I did a lot of cardio. My thing was running. But each his own. But I just think Bill Walsh's philosophy was he didn't want robots. He didn't want guys like this. He didn't want robots. And I never lived in college, and in high school either. So everything fell in line for me. God sent me where people didn't make you lift weights. So I'm not. Okay. So I just think the playing the three different sports teach you how to and your muscles how to do different things.
All right, we'll take our next question from our students in the back. Go ahead and step up to the microphone.
Come on, Shouty.
My name is Peyton Young from Tesla. What are your thoughts on Coach Coryell being named a semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2019?
So we're going to talk a little bit about this new class that just got inducted. Is there someone that stands out? Kevin Mawai, offensive lineman, would have been somebody you had to go up against. But is there someone from this new class of 2019 that stands out above the rest to you? You've got guys like Ed Reed, Kevin Mawai, Champ Bailey, Pat Bowlen, the owner of the Broncos. Any of this new class that kind of stands out to you? Ty Law played for the Patriots.
To be honest, I don't watch football. To be honest, I'm sorry. I don't know. After they changed all the rules, I stopped watching. But hey, Ty Law is really good. I like Ty Law. He hits, and then what's his name? Oh, what's the tight end? The tight end.
Tony Gonzalez.
Oh my God, I love him, man. I watched him. He should have been in here from day one. The day he retired, they should have put him in the Hall of Fame. He's a baller.
He's good.
Hey, do y'all know what's the difference between a player and a baller? Huh? Players play ballers. Wait a minute, how do they do it? I forgot. It'll come to me in a little bit.
All right, we got time for a few more. We're going to take another student question here from the back of the room. Go ahead and step up to the microphone and ask your question.
I'm Jordan from Tesla. How did you take lessons you learned from playing football and apply them to your own life?
Oh, I'm a goals guy, so I set my goals. My goals now is different than when I played, and it's even different now when at this stage of my life. I'm 55, so At this point, on my mirror it says, who am I? On the back of my door is, how do I want to be remembered? Who am I today is how I'm going to be remembered tomorrow. So that's my goal. It's not about how much money I make, you know, or this and that. It's the things that I do today to impact people's lives tomorrow is how I want to be remembered. And so those are the things that I do today that helps me fulfill my dreams. Also, I make my kids set goals. And other things I do is when I played, I made myself read one positive quote before I left the house every morning. And now that they got iPhones, I send one to my kids every morning. I send something positive because I want them to understand, I want them to start that day with something positive. Bible verse or some quote, letting them know that I love them. And so those things that I've done, it's still instilled in me, and I still try to pass it forward.
I think we got time for one more, and we're going to wrap it up. What is one piece of advice you want everybody in here that's watching today and watching today? What is one piece of advice you want to leave them with, leave all these students with?
Well, we didn't get a time, nor these knuckleheads give us time to talk about something that's a killer, and that's mental illness. I think, silence is a killer. Do y'all understand that? Hello? Yes. Silence is a killer. You know that I fought this battle for over 30-something years. And my ex-wife went to the library and diagnosed me as a manic depression at 23. And I refused to accept it. I had to lose it all before I accepted it. And before I went and got help. You don't have to do that. The elevator got 12 floors. You could get off at the 11th floor or the 12th floor. You don't have to go to the basement. But you have to ask for help. Hey, what's going on in your head? Guess what? Hey, there's help for you. I'm living proof. Guys, I was off the chain crazy. I did whatever came to my head. Hey, there's help. I want you to understand that. We love you. Love yourself. If you love yourself, then you want help. Open your damn mouth. Ask for it. If you go up to your teacher and whisper in her ear and say, I'm having problems, she ain't gonna tell you go sit down. If she does, she's gonna say, let's talk about it after class. Or she's gonna send you to a counselor to get help. And if you're a friend of her, call the mom, call that big sister, talk to somebody to help your friend get help. Don't be that one to go start crying because she did something crazy. Reach out. Reach out. Open your mouth. That's the last thing I have for you guys. And the other thing I have for you guys is, be a rock. Stand firm in what you believe. Okay? Do not follow. Do not follow, lead. Make your own path in life. Make your own path in life. And guys, thank you for having someone like me to come in and say, good morning. Now get out.
All right, again, I want to thank everybody for attending today. You guys are now free to tour. They're going to head out the back of the room here. Thank you again, Mr. Haley, and you guys have a great day.